You are listening to the Marry Your Future podcast with Christina Armstrong, where we hope you break up with your past so you can marry your future. Christina is an author, singles coach, and speaker who is passionate about helping women journey from breakup to boss up. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss an episode.
So I wanted to start with the definition of disappointment because that's what we're breaking up with. And so disappointment is the sadness or displeasure caused by the non-fulfillment of one's hopes or expectations. I don't know about you, but I've been disappointed. I've been disappointed in myself. I've been disappointed with God. Not that he disappointed me, but because I had my own expectation of how things were supposed to go and they didn't plan out that they didn't end up that way. I was disappointed. And so I've been disappointed in people. I've been disappointed in outcomes and situations. And so I've had expectations and they weren't fulfilled. And it left me in a place of feeling disappointed, which ultimately led me to a place where I don't want to do any of this. I don't want to pursue nothing. I will sit here and be mediocre because at least I won't ever have to feel that displeasure again or that disappointment again. You know, I have a really good friend and she always describes it as an egg on her face. Like, oh, I felt like I just had egg on my face. And I'd never heard that expression before. But it's like the humiliation, the disappointment. I feel like I've been let down. I feel like I should have known better and I didn't do better. And I just want to encourage you that regardless of the expectations that were unmet by people or by yourself, it does not rob you of the future God has for you. You know, for me, I wanted to quit with this last relationship. I wanted to run to South Dakota because I figured there weren't too many Black people there. Nobody would go looking for me there. And I would be able to hide. There was so much shame. There was so much guilt. There was so much, I should have known better that I didn't want to, I almost allowed it to rob me of my destiny. And, you know, if you've been rocking with me for a while, you know, this wasn't Marry Your Future. This started out as Singled Out C. I was the girl who was encouraging women, save yourself until marriage. I was the girl who was encouraging women to have boundaries and to say no and to have measured responses so that when you got pressured, you knew how to respond. And here it was, I was the girl who was celibate for 5, almost 6 years. And all of that came crumbling down because I thought that I found my life partner. I thought that this was the person that God said yes to. And it turned out, no, this is a distraction. No, I gave you a warning and you didn't heed the warning. No, you were so full of pride that you didn't really want to hear what I had to say. And in that, ended up, you know, in a situation where I had sex outside of wedlock and now I'm pregnant. And now I'm like, God, I'm in Bible college. Where do they do that at? Like when I had my son when I was 17, it was my senior year of high school. So here I am 17 years later and I'm circling the same mountain. I'm disappointed. I'm disappointed in him. I'm disappointed in me. God, I'm disappointed in you because what in the world? You gave me a word. I thought this was me following it. I went through the steps, but all along I knew this isn't it. Pump your brakes, wait for me. But because I was so hell-bent on, I'm not going to be wrong, pride. Because I was so hell-bent on, I'm going to control and manipulate the outcome of this, I ended up where I didn't want to be. You know, I was always that person that said, your first child out of wedlock, all right, cool, you got that, you ain't doing it. Second one, you should know better. And here I am eating my own words. And then I'm met with the decision of, do I continue in this relationship? Venues paid for. Like documents have been signed, invitations are sitting on everything is ordered. I'm like, God, I'm circling the same mountain. What is happening? I'm disappointed that I have to cancel everything. I'm disappointed that it's not going to be what I thought it was. I'm disappointed that I got it wrong. And I was so ashamed. There was so much shame. And yes, my daughter is a blessing. My life would be boring without that little girl. My daughter is a blessing, and God set things up to where she has what she needs. She has the support that she needs. She has amazing godparents. She has amazing support. Like, God takes care of that kid, okay? But there was so much shame surrounding the circumstances of her coming into the world that I did not want to do anything. I said, God, you can't, why? And I almost disqualified myself. But then there were a few things that the Lord did to help me with my disappointment. The first thing he did was, the Lord tell all your business. If you called and you're chosen, you ain't gonna be able to get away with the stuff that other people get away with. You know, the people that God had called into my life to cover me, to shepherd me, to support me, they all knew beforehand. When I went to go sit down when I finally had to confess, literally, every one of them was like, oh, I just had a dream last night. Oh, God just told me. What? You telling me I'm already disappointed in myself? You telling my business? Like, I felt some type of way. But I'm learning that was God's protection. And every single one of them that I went to tell met me with love. They met me with correction. They met me with love. And they met me with grace. And the biggest challenge of all, the biggest thing, and this is how I knew, I said, okay, God, I see what you're doing. You're testing my gangster, Lord. Because remember, I just wanted to run to South Dakota. I wanted to go where no one knew me. I felt like my life was over. I felt like I made the same mistake 17 years ago. I didn't learn my lesson. I did all this church, all this Bible college, all this doing this, all this making these videos, encouraging people to abstain and to, wait on God. And I fumble like this after 5, 6 years. Oh, I was mad at myself. Angry. And I'll never forget, we were doing the irony. We're doing projects in school. And this was my project, Marry Your Future. This is, what I feel like God wants me to do, And I'm like, oh, I thought it was for single women. But now I don't even feel qualified. I feel like I've disqualified myself, and like I can't even speak to the single women. I can't speak to the single ones because I made the same. I circled the mountain a second time. And the Lord had me stand up after I gave my presentation of my ministry, and he had me confess. And at that time, ministry school, I think we had 70 students. Plus we had the panel, which were our instructors, directors of the school, things like that. And I'm arguing with God as I'm presenting my my case. That he had told me 2 days before, I want you to confess. And I was like, I'm not doing it. I'm moving to South Dakota. I'm not doing it. And so as I'm up there, as I'm presenting my ministry pitch, I see my sissy, and she's sitting there, and I see her start praying in tongues. And I said, oh, you called in reinforcements. And I'm arguing with God as I'm presenting. In my mind, I'm like, I'm not saying anything. I'm not doing anything. And finally, I just submitted. And I said, you know what? The woman I want to talk to is me. I was like, you guys don't know this, but I got engaged in ministry school. I got pregnant in ministry school. And I'm sitting there, and as I'm saying this, you see the mouths of some of the students drop, and they're like, what? And I just begin to testify of where I am. I'm in ministry school. I'm pregnant. I'm not married. And God just told me to call off the wedding. And I'll never forget, Pastor Greg looked at me, and oh gosh, I'm getting emotional. Pastor Greg looked at me, and he thanked me for not getting an abortion. And I was like, God, that would have been extra shame. Like, I can't even handle what I'm feeling now. And he gave me the scripture in Isaiah. that you'll get double for your shame. And I'm not telling this story to get views or likes. Truth be told, I hadn't been released to do this particular episode on disappointment until now. But as I was sitting and I was asking the Lord, what do I share? What do I do? He said, tell the story. Tell the full story. And I was like, no, they know bits and pieces. And I realized, oh, there's still shame there. There's still disappointment there. And as I was sitting with the Lord, I just was like, God, He's showing me. I've been praying. My mentor gave me the assignment to pray and ask God for revelation of what the next 10 years of my life is. Like, what are you calling me to? What are you doing? What's in store? And my mind has been blown by the magnitude of what He has in store for me. And because of disappointment, I was ready to throw it all away. I thought He couldn't use me. I thought that I ruined my future. I thought that, God, who's going to listen to me now? The same women that I was telling, don't do it, don't do it. I turn around and I do it. What? How? And He said, tell the story. Because we overcome by the blood of the Lamb and the word of our testimony. He said, Christina, each time you tell the story, the shame falls. Each time you don't downplay the details, the shame falls away. It loses its power. My story never changed for you. I saw that before you did. And I want to encourage you, His story, His plans, His vision, His thoughts about you never change. So what you took a detour? So what you made the mistake? So what 17 years later you're circling the same mountain? You know what happened when I got real? Because I was so hard on myself. I said, why after 17 years am I doing the same thing? How did I fall for this? Like, what happened? And He had to really show me that there was no transformation. I hadn't really submitted myself to Him. I was still being my own God. I was still doing my own thing. But when I tell you that the last 2 years of my life has been the most transformative, has it been the most easiest? Absolutely not. But it's been the most transformative time of my life. It makes those other 20-some years look crazy. These last 2 years of my life have been radical. And as I'm hidden, and as I'm in the wilderness, and as I'm allowing Him to develop me, as I'm getting honest about what I'm disappointed about, as I'm grieving the loss of what I thought I should have had, I'm making room for what He said I can have. I'm making room for the good relationship, for the good marriage. I'm making room for the ministry to grow. I'm making room for the opportunities because I'm not hiding behind the details. I'm not playing small because, oh, I messed up. I messed up. 17 years after I had my son, I had my daughter out of wedlock. You won't get me a third time, best believe. I thought my ministry was over. I thought my opportunities were over. I thought that there was the desire for a good marriage, throw that out the window. You don't deserve it. Look what you did with the last 2 times. These are the thoughts that I had. These are the things that I wrestled with. I was so quick to disqualify myself. I was so quick to call it quits, to run South Dakota. Who goes to South Dakota? I was so sure it was over. But it's not. I don't know what your disappointments look like. I don't know if the marriage failed. I don't know if you're disappointed in the way you raised your kids. I don't know if you're disappointed because you said no to an opportunity that you should have said yes to. I don't know if you're disappointed because you played it small. I don't know if whatever it is, it's not the end of the story. As we get honest, as we grieve, and as we allow the Lord to heal us. Listen, you've got to be the person who can obtain and walk in the future that He says you can have. Christina from 17 years ago was angry, unhealed, prideful, thought I knew it all, hurt. Christina from 2 years ago was angry, bitter, hurt, prideful. I told you I was a whole Leviathan walking around here. I was a bully. I had a lot of masculine energy. I didn't know who I was. I felt unworthy. I felt like this is the best as it gets. I was full of religion. I had no results. But when I got honest, when I got open, when I got real, when I really evaluated my life, and I had to sit back and I had to go, that was stupid. that was stupid. You know better. It wasn't easy. It's not easy. You know, sometimes I still get uneasy when I hear people say stuff about single mothers or mothers who have children by multiple men. That still makes me, there's still a little bit of insecurity there. I'm like, dang, I got two. Dang, you didn't learn? There's still a little bit of that, but that doesn't stop my destiny. It doesn't stop my future. Yeah, I may have taken a detour, but it doesn't change how God sees me. It doesn't change how God loves my children. It doesn't change their destiny. It doesn't change how He loves me. He's faithful. And when we get real about the disappointments, that's when He can come in and do the work. Because remember, He can't heal who you pretend to be. He can't heal what you pretend isn't broken. If your arm is broken, but you refuse to go to the hospital because you're like, it's not broken, it's going to affect how you do things. You won't be able to pick up your children or the groceries or, walk, or you'll be on defense because if somebody hits the arm that's broken that you are saying isn't broken, then why are you responding that way? So until we get real about the disappointments, until we lay them down at His feet, until we get honest and grieve the things that we thought we should have had, the outcomes that we thought we should have had, the healing is delayed. Don't allow these disappointments to rob you of the future that's still yours. Don't allow these disappointments to silence you. Guilt, shame, and condemnation are sent to silence you because your voice is powerful. Your testimony is powerful. And it's the key to the transformation. So I'm going to charge you this week. I charge you to write down the disappointments. God, I'm disappointed that I didn't go to college. God, I'm disappointed that I didn't get to say goodbye, that I didn't forgive my parent in time to say goodbye before they died. God, I'm disappointed that the marriage didn't work. God, I'm disappointed that I married that person when I knew I had insight not to. God, I'm disappointed that I wasted 3 years doing this when I knew that's not what you called me to do. God, I'm disappointed. Whatever it is, write it out. Because as you begin to get honest about what it is you're disappointed with, the failed expectation, the unmet expectation, it didn't go your way, whatever it is, that's when the healing begins. I'm excited for you. This journey is not easy. But like I've been saying to myself lately, life is hard. We might as well do the hard things that pay off. Heal, develop, become. It's like my mentor always tells me, be, do, have. Be who God called you to be. Do what God told you to do, and you'll have what he says you can have. In that order. So today we're breaking out with disappointments, regrets, and everything in between. Until next time.
We hope you enjoyed this episode. Be sure to check out the website at itschristinaarmstrong.com for more content. And remember, God can't heal who you pretend to be. It's time you break up with your past so you can marry your future.